Hello everyone, we are live yet again, and this is going to be one of my authors chats of the week. And so for the moment I'm going to be kind of waiting and keeping my eye out for my co-host of the week and see when he jumps in. But until then, how's everyone's week going? And there's my timer saying hello, make sure I am on. But how's everybody's week been going? I am an author of epic fantasy. Again, my name is Katharine Wibell, and we'll be talking a little bit more about books, writing, self-publishing, everything between, as I continue to wait for my co-host. He's in the UK, so we'll see if he remembered the right time, because that's always hard trying to work with authors across the world in different places. But as an epic fantasy author, let's see if I can see him, still waiting. I have multiple series at the moment. I write for young adults, new adults, and even adults in different ways, and my epic fantasy ranges from the lighter, almost noble bright side of things all the way down towards the grim dark side of things, depending on the series. But most of my work is based on fantasy of some sort. I love mythology of some sort. I love Norse mythology, so I actually have one whole series just dedicated to Nordic myth and lore, and that is The Guardian Speaker. And actually, only today I had an audiobook version of my third volume of that just released, which is fantastic. So I've been working a lot today trying to make sure I start spreading the word that it is out and available for people who like audiobooks as their chosen format. But yeah, I wonder where he is. Tisk tisk if he's late. Anywho, right now as well, some of the cool things I've been doing as a writer, I'm testing out Kickstarter for the first time, and I've never done this before as a way to help launch a book. We'll be actually talking about this in just a moment. Hello!
Hello, Katharine. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
How's everything going on your end? I've been keeping an eye, because I was just mentioning to the people who are chiming in a little bit that, I have a Kickstarter running, but so do you. You're like the expert of book Kickstarters on this platform.
I wouldn't say expert, but yeah, it's going really well. I was just checking. I'm £350 away from my 6th stretch goal.
How?
Which
and explain what stretch goals are to anybody who doesn't know, because I had to learn what that term was when I was trying to figure all this out, because I'd never heard about it before until we talked about Kickstarter and what that means.
Yeah, so obviously, if you've not done Kickstarter before or heard of Kickstarter, it's a way of for us authors to get our books out there, high SAS, and offer kind of added extras on top of what you'd normally get when you order a book, which is why I really like the platform. It gives us that opportunity to be really creative outside of simply writing words down. So, for example, I do a lot of commissioned art pieces, things like that. Hi, AD. Sorry, AD's just saying hello to me and you, Katharine. So stretch goals are where you can set kind of goals and targets, and then if you hit those goals, then everyone back in your project gets additional rewards on top of the ones that they've already pledged. So, for example, one of my stretch goals was a extra piece of artwork which everyone ordering a physical copy of the book will receive. I think I've done custom pins this time as well. And the next stretch goal, which is going to create a hell of a lot of work for me, if it does hit it, is going to be sprayed edges on all the hardbacks, and there's on the hardback collections, and there's over 200 books that I'll have to spray. So that's going to take quite a long time.
I want you to have one of those videos of filming yourself spraying the edges, because I've seen some people do that on some other platforms like Instagram, that people really enjoy just watching that process too. And I'm curious of what pattern or a color or what you're choosing for your books. So that will be very neat. I did have a question pop up asking if our books were on Amazon. all mine are on Amazon in ebook form. I have, outside of my novellas, everything is in paperback, hardcover. The novellas are in print in bundles of 4 because being a novella, they're shorter. So I bundle them in 4, and the second bundle, which is called the Omnibus, will be released within a few weeks. So I'm excited about that. But as for you, all your books are all on Amazon as well.
Yeah,
Correct.
they are. It's A Forest of Vanity and Valor is available wider. That's been wide for I think October time. Oh, thank you. So yeah, that's been wide for paperback since October, and that's just so I can have a few months kind of seeing how that goes, and then I'll look to add the others to it. So yeah, I'm getting about 200 sales a month from it being wider available on top of my KDP sales. So there's obviously people requesting it, and they are available on wholesale as well for the Forest of Vanity and Valor.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've been considering doing kind of what you're doing, is taking the print versions and making them wide through Ingram Spark so they can be available on, at least in the States, for like Barnes & Noble and some of these other platforms, outside of just being exclusively sold through Amazon, which is where they are right now,
Yeah,
unless I do signed copies, and then you can buy those through me.
yeah,
Or do the Kickstarter and get signed copies that way, plus
yeah.
bonus stuff.
Plus bonus
Plug
stuff.
it in.
That's why I like the Kickstarter. So Berserker, who's in my comments just saying he's really looking forward to the new book. And hi Missy, it's good to see you on here as well. So he got the last one of my custom coins. So I that was a Kickstarter reward in my Sea of Sorrow and Scorn Kickstarter. And we did a Kickstarter live shout out with a Frost of Fear and Fortitude, and I said on whoever bats the next tier, the highest tier next, I'll throw in the last of these pieces of 8 coins that I had made, and Berserker dived straight in and got it. Went
That's
straight to the top tier.
fantastic.
So, and it's stuff like that. Like I said, it gets to enhance your creativity, coming up with different things, but they're all book related. So that I tend to go for things that I know my readers will enjoy. And I will, if the next tier is unlocked, which, like I said, we're £350 away now. We've got 7 days left. So if we hit it, I'm kind of going to have a bonus one, which I think people will lose their mind at, but I'm not going to reveal it until we've hit 20,000. Yeah.
Wow, that is so amazing. Yeah, no, every time I since this is my first time, clearly, I'm just trying to figure out the ropes, but yeah, you've done this a number of times. This is your how many times have you done Kickstarter to launch now?
So this is my 4th successful one, and I had 2 unsuccessful ones, and they've just kind of grown each time, which I'd anticipated because you've got more of a backlist to offer each time. So, but even that, I'd set the goals and targets for this, and I've absolutely dwarfed like what I thought we'd hit. And I do expect the number to come down because normally about 10% of pledges don't go through. People don't. For one reason or another, the payments bounce and things like that. So there's normally around 10% of your overall you don't get, and then about 10%, just shy of 10%, that you end up paying to Kickstarter and Stripe for transferring the money.
I mean, it's a business on their end as well. It's just like you said, it's such a neat way to be able to do these exclusive perks to readers who are either already your fans and get a little extra, or all these potentially new readers that will become your fans after this. So that's, I don't know. I applaud you for figuring this out. And I always say when I'm jumping on, I've been trying to jump on almost daily just to kind of do little talks about what I've been doing and keeping updates on how my progress has been going. But I continuously mention you and your work because you have been so much help to me for my campaign. So thank you.
Bless you, thank you. You make me blush. So it's one of them. I've always tried to look at how, obviously we're trying to become full-time authors, so we want to do this as a career, so you need to reach your audience. So the way for me I've looked at it is, right, how do I kind of broaden my options? So for example, I've always been a big advocate for the TikTok shop, which I'm quite well renowned for, certainly in the UK, not so much in over your way, but I know TikTok shops just come to the US now. So I've got people at kind of TikTok shop HQ in London that I kind of link up with, and they're giving me advice and kind of business models to kind of grow the business from selling my books directly. And I had a meeting with them, with James Blatch last week from Self Publishing Show. Just because, again, we want to help kind of drive and give them the feedback from the indie author community around how to make BookTok and TikTok more relevant and even more relevant, but better for authors to sell their products directly to the readers. So rather than going off to Amazon or these other places where we can just get our content straight to the readers, which benefits the readers, but it benefits us as well. Again, it's just looking at different ways. So Kickstarter, that originally did the first book, The Forest of Vanity and Valor, and that was to help produce the book. So I'd written it, so I needed the money to help edit the book, have the formatting done, get all the marketing side of it right. So I thought, I'll do the same. Yeah, and when it proved so popular, I thought I'll do it again for the second book, and thought, well, it's working, so I'm just going to keep doing it for each book release. So literally soon as Kingdom of Courage and Cruelty releases, and I'll be busy. It'll probably take me a couple of weeks to package everything up, probably more than that, if I'm having to spray all the edges. And then the next book after that I've set for release in July, so I've got a couple of months to kind of get another Kickstarter going, and so on and so forth. And I'll keep doing it as long as the community wants it. If people get fed up with them, and I try and do it so you don't have to back the top tier every time. If you've got all the books so far, there's always a tier to get the next book in the series, and so on and so forth. But there is one legend named Seth. He has backed the highest tier in every single book, every single one so far. So I'm going to look at how I can put something extra in for him, just to say thank you for all his support.
That's fantastic. No, that is really neat. But yeah, I was interested that I was watching, obviously, how you run your book Kickstarters, but there have been a couple others in between yours as well that have done very well on that platform. And I kind of, looked and see what they were offering, how they structured everything. So I think that's a great way for another author to figure that out. And one thing I know he was doing, which is I think a smart idea, maybe if I do this again, can potentially do it as well, is he did the a la carte aspect, where if you were someone coming in and you have got, supported your prior Kickstarter and only wanted maybe one book or one book plus some other kind of bonus, little feature, they could do that instead of like always go and reach up for, the whole shebang. Or maybe they were missing a book or something and got these a la carte ways to support you. And I was like, oh, that's smart. I did not really do that this time, being my first time. It was a lot of stuff that goes on anyways for this planning, so I didn't want to overwhelm myself. But that was just something I thought that was very neat as another option.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what's great about the platform, because like we said, you can be so creative with it, and again, just keep coming up with different ideas for it. It's reader driven. If people don't like the rewards and the tiers being offered, they won't back the project. And then your next biggest thing is getting the word out there to people, which luckily for me, over the last 12 months, I've had a lot of growth on TikTok, Instagram. My subscribers to my newsletter have all grown, so I've got that direct link. It's getting that balance between letting people know what's available and spamming them. So I've probably only been doing like 1 or 2 videos a week mentioning the Kickstarter. I've been in the middle of the campaign for the last week and a half, so that's known as the dead zone. So next week, this next 7 days, it'll be more kind of letting people know that there's 7 days to go. These are the awesome rewards that are available, and like I said, I'm with £350 away from announcing
Cool.
what this bonus tier is, which I've already had made.
I was wondering if you just went ahead and got it going. Okay.
Yeah. So my plan is that it's something I've had made because it's something I'm planning on doing after the Kickstarter anyway. But this is a kind of, it'll unlock an extra reward that I'm hoping no one will be expecting. So.
I'm excited. I want to know now. Like, I'm curious to know. I will wait. I'll be patient. I have good faith that you're going to hit your goal because, I mean, you've been doing excellent so far. And again, trying to not to be a copycat, but also trying to just use your breadth of knowledge. I'm looking at what you do and everything. And again, for me, it's kind of interesting. It is my first time, so I do want to reach people and let them know that I have this going on. On the other hand, I keep asking if I'm over talking about the fact that I have it, or can you talk about it too much, because you don't want people to just start, ignoring your content.
Yeah.
But it's also like, it's my first time. So I'm like, hey, I'm doing this just so you know, it's out there in case you want it.
Yeah. And yeah, it is getting that balance right. I think I always say if people have seen it too much, they will tell you. So ultimately, it doesn't. However many followers you've got, they don't all see your content. So I do see it as you need to post something a few times for people to have that chance of seeing it, because there's different times of the day. If they don't log on for 6 hours since you've posted a video, there might be less chance of them seeing it. That's why I need to start using my stories more, because I think they tend to show up more on people's pages that are following you. So
I'm bad about that.
Yeah,
and I really should put I should put one out, because actually today I had an audiobook release, and the way I use Audible or ACX as a platform, so you never exactly know what day it's going to drop. And so this morning I woke up and it was like, it's available. I'm like, well, that's great. Now I have to go and like start doing all these posts about it, and I have yet to come back around and do some for this platform. So I know what I'll be doing this afternoon. But yeah, stories would be a smart thing to utilize. And I'm glad you mentioned that the TikTok shop is now coming toward the US and letting US users be able to access it. I don't know if we have to have a certain number of followers or if it's there now. I haven't looked because I didn't know to look, but that's exciting too, because I know for you, that's really helped you, it seems. Yeah. I jumped on a couple of your live signings for that, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's been released. I think Matt, who's the guy I speak to at TikTok HQ, he's on Friday he was saying that I'm sure it was either October or November it went live in the US. So normally what they do is they start rolling it out in like gradually. So it'll probably be over the next few months. You might, if you've got a business account, you might get an invite to join. And again, I kind of joined when my page was still growing. And started off, I just bought 5 books and put them in the shop, and I've kind of grown it from that point. So when those 5 books sold, I used the money from that to then buy like 10, 15 books, and then so on and so forth. And I've kind of grown it that way. And I've got a big block of drawers behind me, and they're all filled with books, which are my stock now. So, and paperback and hardback. I just want to answer, because I've got quite a few comments coming through.
By all means.
Yeah. So Berserker saying he's peddling all my books to his friends, to their friends, and that he wants a sequel to A Frosted Fear and Fortitude because it was left on such a cliffhanger. I'm in the middle, well, not in the middle, I'm on chapter 2 of another story featuring Gregor. And AD's just saying, when it comes to posting videos, how many hashtags do you put in a video? Normally 3 or 4, and then every now and again I don't put. I went through a phase last year where I weren't putting. It's my English like. I wasn't putting any hashtags on my videos at all, because for some reason my videos were just constantly hitting the right people. So at the moment I tend to use Book Talk, fantasy books, Kindle, and Kindle Unlimited. Those are my kind of go-tos at the moment.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's always interesting with algorithms trying to figure out what works. I'm always more timid about cutting back on my hashtags. On the other hand, I I don't know. I wish I could be confident enough to like test a theory and see exactly what combination and how many work. But I guess also depends on the person. Each person's individually different, and you want to reach different readers. So what works for one might not work for you. But
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily push push your videos out. It's more it helps index. From my understanding, it helps index your videos. So at a later date, if someone was to search for one of the terms you're using a hashtag, and it's quite a niche hashtag, then your book's more likely to show up at the top of that search. So I probably could do with starting to use more hashtags. I've started creating my own for my books. So like AFAVAV and just shorten the books down that way. And that's a good metric as well because you can see how many views are associated to a hashtag as well.
mhm.
So again, when it comes to seeing what videos are reaching the right audience, if you put your own ones on, you can kind of monitor those metrics better. But that's the boring side.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it is the boring side for maybe a reader, but as an author, that's actually kind of, maybe it's me, but I think that's kind of fascinating as well because we're always trying to figure out the better ways to reach new readers and figure out what works. I have a question pop up. Well, a couple things. One said, I think it's Joe G. I'm very bad at reading like handles and figuring out, but Joe G said got one of your books, so I don't know if it was you or me, but potentially there you go. And then Dave just popped up and said, or asked, are the books illustrated? So for me, none of my books are illustrated. Do you have any illustrations inserted in yours at the moment, or is that something you're? I know you have character art as part of your Kickstarter, and that's what I'm developing for mine as well. But I just didn't know if you had any inserts of illustrations in your books.
Yeah, so the only illustration in the books are the fantasy map.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was another one of my Kickstarter tiers. So there'll be a second fantasy map of the actual kingdom this time.
Mm-hmm.
So not normally it's just Levantria as a whole, whereas this will have a map of the kingdom where this story's set. So yeah, you'll just have an illustration of the fantasy map, and yeah, I tend to do the art prints separate. However, I am looking at the prospect of doing some limited edition illustrated hardbacks.
Very
But
nice.
again, that'll be probably when Kingdom's out and the A Stone of Destiny Despair's out as well. So that might be something to work on at the back end of this year.
Yeah, I love hearing when authors do these special editions. Of course, I look at them and be like, how do you have the time? Where's this time coming from? Oh man, I feel like there's so much always that an author needs to be doing, be it the writing, the editing, the formatting, or the engagement part. There's always something. So,
Yeah, I've also, my book started taking off last January, but right through the year, everything that was coming in, I was putting back in to my books. So looking at how I could expand, I could get all my foundations right
hmm
to run this as a business because I knew I wanted to be full time. So there was a lot of work to do there. So again, I'm lucky enough to be in a position where my books are making money, so I can invest that back into my books to create different versions of my books or like hardback limited editions, things like that. But also, I'm going back and having my Arnold Ethan series re-edited, new book covers, new book titles, everything. Um,
exciting.
because again, I've been saving the money that I've been making to go back and do that. Um, because they were my first books that I wrote, so they're full of errors. I read them and I cringe, and I just want to go back and fix them as best as I can.
And I think that's the wonderful, well, one of the many wonderful things about being someone that's on indie or on the hybrid side of things. When you have more control over your books, every book, even some professional, actually, probably most professional books, is going to have some error somewhere, formatting, spelling error, grammatical error pop up.
Yeah,
And when you have the control over your product, we can always go back and make those changes at any point, which is Nice. So, we can
Yeah,
always constantly try to help improve. I mean, we put the work in, we do get editors, we do try to make it as great as possible, but even still, it's nice to be able to, whenever something does crop up, be able to go back in and be like, I'm going to erase that bad.
yeah, you can just go and fix it. So yeah,
Exactly.
and it's still happening now. There's a couple of errors, typos in Forest of Vanity and Valor that I want to go back and fix. And there's something that I spotted, or a reader spotted and pointed out to me in Frost of Fear and Fortitude, which is my novella that just came out at Christmas. And again, I need to go in and fix that. But I've set myself some writing deadlines, so I need to hit those first. But my plan is to do all the rechecking over everything once I go full time in a couple of weeks' time.
So exciting. I'm just so happy for you. That is
Thank you.
thrilling.
I've just got Simon saying he's interested in your books. Do you want to just let him know where to get them?
Yes, I mean, kind of trying to do the smart approach. I do have a links page directly on this account, so that links you over to my website with all sorts of information of all my series, because I do have multiple book series, and each one is for like a different age bracket or a slightly different subgenre of epic fantasy. So depending on what you're interested in, you can find a lot of information through there. But selling wise, obviously I have the Kickstarter out. I do have signed copies available through my Etsy shops, which is found on my links page, and Amazon. You can find my stuff on Amazon and Audible. But 3 series at the moment. Dark Viking Fantasy is for adults, called The Guardian Speaker. He's holding up Asara's Claws, which was the first book I ever wrote, but it was part of my 4-book Dark Shifter Fantasy to war-based series for new adult readers. And then what I'm focusing on my Kickstarter is my young adult Portal Fantasy. It's more on the adventure side of things, but it's magical multiverse. And so my Kickstarter's for the 3rd book of that series, and we shall see if I hit any of my stretch goals, because I'm just hoping to hit one. That's what I'm like. Let's start small, and then once you hit that bracket, then you aim for the next one. It's
Yeah,
like climbing a ladder, one
yeah,
rung at a time.
yeah. And don't forget, this is also your first Kickstarter. So, you know,
Baby.
once this is finished, you'll see how it gets intense after the Kickstarter is finished and it comes to fulfilling. That's when it can get a bit intense. So once you've gone through that process, you can kind of look and say, right, next time this is what I'm going to do and how I'm going to set it up. And again, happy to go through kind of every step of the process with you, because what I've done each time is just looked at what's worked and kind of honed in on how to improve that the next time. And each Kickstarter has gradually grown to where we are now. Crystal, thank you for the gifts. They've just sent a fire pit and a rose.
Aw, fantastic. And yeah, I saw Berserker sent some gifts earlier, and I have another comment saying that I'm reading my Portal Fantasy series. Hope you enjoy it. 3rd one's coming. It'll be out this spring regardless, but it's just a fun process trying to come with, just unusual ways to approach readers and meet and greet them. And so, be it
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
So do you just want to talk about your Kickstarter? What's on offer? How it's doing? How long's left to go?
Okay, yeah, I can my daily update. I've been running it, and today is a week. So it was I launched it at like almost to the hour, a few hours earlier, I guess. But yeah, today is a day 8 then for my Kickstarter, and I'm running it for 30. So it will be going through February 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was trying to do the research and be smart about when to start and stop launches, and for whatever reason that was recommended. Who knew? It sounds weird to me, but I'm just gonna believe the statistics. But again, this is for my young adult adventure fantasy, portal fantasy, high fantasy. There are so many Nova Bright, so many of these fun little subcategories you can throw it in there. But it's a magical multiverse, 12 magical worlds, multiple dimensions, lots of different mythological beast beings. It is a chosen one archetype. So if you like those, hopefully you will enjoy this series. And this is the 3rd book of that series. It is one where the main character starts on the younger side of young adult, but will be aging up. It's going to she starts around 13, but she will be probably in her early 20s before the series is complete. So there is going to be a lot of coming of age aspects to it as well. As for the Kickstarter itself, I've been learning from the best. And structuring it where, of course, you'll be getting, depending on what you want, signed copies of the ebook, signed copies of the paperback, hardcover. There is a low-level bid-in if people want to receive the ebook early, but since I try to put my books in Kindle Unlimited, as soon as it actually publishes live on a wide scale through Kindle Unlimited, I can't share that. So that's only a perk for the Kickstarter people who want the ebook version early, and you'll be getting it about 2 weeks early, which is kind of a cool thing. And then extra things, doing bookish things, anything from bookmarks, stickers, character art. And so some of my stretch goals is because I have a wide cast of characters, even though I only start with a single point of view character. But I do have a wide variety of characters. So some of my stretch goals are to make character art of some of the other big characters in there to kind of have a full cast, a collection in a sense. And my biggest goal this year, it's not the sprayed edges, I am not there yet, but is to commission a map of one of the realms, and it being the fact that this is a magical multiverse. I am not going to attempt to try to map everything. That is no way, shape, or form possible. But having an exclusive map for one of the realms in this particular book, I thought would be pretty neat. So we shall see. I have about 3 more weeks in my event.
And how's it going so far, the Kickstarter?
Well, doing a recommendation again, because I didn't know it until I think you may mention it or somewhere I found across the line that if you don't hit your bid, you can't get the money at all. So I bidded very low, and I did hit my base level bid. So my base level was only $650, and to produce a book in all formats and everything, that's just change. That's nowhere near how much it actually costs. But I wanted to just see if people would be receptive. Could I hit at least a base level? And so that's why I have stretch goals to encourage. So I've broken $1,000, which again, first time. So I'm excited. I'll take every penny. But it's an exciting thing. So I have hit my minimum goal, which is good. I was able to take a breath when that happened. And now it's just to let people know it's out there. If you want, you get all these fun perks. If I hit these stretch goals, and I try to keep them reasonable, we get extra gifts. I think that's cool. When I say we, because I want them too.
I always keep them for myself as well. Exactly. But you know, every one of my Kickstarters so far, I've had, you know, between £500 and £650 as the goal. I just pushed the goal higher on this Kickstarter because my theory's been dependent on what your goal is how much the Kickstarter algorithm will kind of push it outside your audience once it's hit its goal, which is kind of working. But I had this last campaign in the background for people to follow for about 3 months. So by the time I hit launch, there was 200 odd people that were instantly notified of it. But then on top of that, everyone that's backed to Kickstarter previously, for me, also gets a notification to say I've just posted a new campaign. So the same will happen for you when you post your next Kickstarter. Everyone that's backed this time will automatically get a notification to say, Katharine's just launched another Kickstarter, whether they're following your new campaign or not.
Wow, that's cool.
So that's something worth knowing about. So when you send it out to your newsletter, you know, using your TikTok, are you on Instagram?
I'm on all places. Right. but my Instagram is nowhere near your Instagram level. I need to like post more. I listened to your talk last week and I was like, I need to post more, I guess.
But my Instagram is just absolutely crazy. That's just kind of blown up since October. Wow. But I've got Rob and Berserker here saying that they need to go and check out your Kickstarter.
Well, I hope you enjoy
so there you go.
it.
Yeah.
Let me know if you have a critique on how to make it better. I don't know. I have actually a question here pop up asking what day of the week is best to launch a Kickstarter. Now, when I was doing research, and you may actually have different facts because you've done a couple of these, but when I was doing research trying to figure out, it looked like at least this year Tuesdays around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, noonish, were the most recommendable day and time of the week, which is interesting to me because I just don't know where they get this stats from. I don't know where this is coming from. They just sound like weird times. So
Yeah.
that's why I launched it on Tuesday at 11 a.m. because I was like, well, they say it's for the best, so I will try. But I don't know in your experiences because your last one you launched over the weekend and a holiday. At least here in the U.S., I think it was
Yeah.
over a holiday weekend or something like that. So
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just checking. Berserker's saying that you need to check your Kickstarter.
well, let
Have you
me
got your?
know. Sorry, what?
I'm just logging on. I'll have a look for you.
Yeah, and I will note, and let me know if anybody else feels this way, that when I've tried to look up yours directly on Kickstarter, it's hard to find. Like, I
Is
literally
it?
will have to plug in the title exactly correctly. It doesn't go by author name, which is a little odd. And I've heard the same response on my end. So that's why I try to make the link found everywhere on all my
Yeah.
platforms. Because I've noticed trying to find other people's stuff and now being told on my end, it's sometimes hard to search when you're just on Kickstarter, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
What's your campaign called? Because mine's the same. I've just got a new laptop, so I'm not logged into anything.
It is called The Underrealms. Underrealms is one word, UNDERREALMS. And that should be the most searchable approach. But like I said, I have links on all my website and my links page here and all pretty much any of the links on any of my socials, and I'm on a lot of them. Pretty much most of them, it feels like. Hopefully you can find out. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, it's
Plus,
not
I
coming
talk
up
about
for
it all
some
the
reason.
time. Maybe too much. Maybe too much. I do other things. I promise. I promise. I collect Viking stuff. I mean, come on. I have other hobbies outside of writing.
No, we don't. That's the lie.
Oh man, no. I actually one of my fun things, and again it goes back into the fact that I love writing fantasy, especially medieval era and just thereafter era weaponry, that I have this, and it's workable, this desktop trebuchet that I finally found a display area in my office for. But it works. I used to use it to sling dog treats across the room and watch my dog chase after them, but there you go.
And what did you say your Kickstarter was on?
Sorry, what was that?
What did you say your Kickstarter was on at the moment?
Oh, you mean platform link wise?
No, as in how much have you raised so far?
Um, it was a little over 1,000. I don't remember to how much more, but I know I broke 1,000. I think yesterday or the day before. It's
Right.
interesting. Like I'll have a day where I get a couple bids, and then one where it's really quiet, and then a day. But it is my first one, and I'm a newbie here, and I'm just following in the shadow of the great people.
No. Well, on here it is saying you are at £1,308. So that'd be about $1,700, I imagine.
Oh,
So I've got a feeling
thank
that
you.
well, Rob's saying that he has just backed you.
Oh, thank you. Okay,
Um,
I was gonna say that's
and
you. Thank
and
you. I appreciate
Berserker's the one saying for you to check your Kickstarter now. So
that.
knowing what Berserker's like is, I'm guessing he's probably backed you top tier.
Oh, well, thank you. Fantastic. Now you're making me blush. Um, Let me see. The one of them is the hyena cover. Oh, yes. If you're reading the green one with the hyena cover, Kokoda's Hackles, yeah, that was part of my first series, third book. It's so weird because every author, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'm making this up. Do you have a favorite book of the ones you've written? And is it
Oh
your first
no,
one or is it the one you're on? Because a lot of authors always say it's the one you're writing, but I don't know. Like for that first series, if I had to pick one, my favorite was Kokoda's Hackles, but it's because I introduced a character that I really enjoyed in it. So of that series, that was my favorite. But the reasoning is I finally was able to introduce a new character that I'd been waiting to write. Favorite in general, that would be too hard to pick. But I
yeah,
don't know. You have a couple series too, so.
probably Frost of Fear and Fortitude, which was a novella. So that was I really love the character Gregor, probably because he's based on Father Christmas or Santa Claus, as you'll
I
know him.
love that cover too. I wish I had an example of that cover.
Yeah, so that was something I'd had an idea for this time last Christmas, and I wanted to write something that I could release basically at Christmas time. So I had an idea for the character, and then the character just grew. So Berserker is saying he backed your $450 tier.
Thank you. Wow, thank you. See, it can make you
Wow,
bless people. Wow, thank you. I don't know what to say.
super backer Berserker.
I love it, and the fact that your handle's Berserker, I applaud you because that is fantastic. I love anything to do with Vikings and Nordic stuff, and so absolutely love that handle.
Yeah, definitely. So well done. So yeah, your Kickstarter is well on its way.
Yay! I might actually make my first stretch goal, which is fantastic. Because kind of like you, it was like, I will admit, the first stretch goal, I already hired the artist to do, because even if I didn't get it for this, I wanted to have it ready for the next time. So I kind of
Yeah.
just wanted to go ahead and do that. But it would be nice to be able to actually give it out.
Yeah, so I always do a new piece of art for the Kickstarter, but I always have a stretch goal for an additional piece of art. So the it's a certain level where you get the art piece,
Mm-hmm.
but then if the stretch goal's unlocked, then everyone ordering a physical copy gets this extra art piece as well.
That's yep,
Um,
yep.
and then, like I said, I've got custom pins that I want designing. Um, there was a person that got in touch with me. He does custom leather bound books, so he was asking if I'd be interested in him producing leather bound print, like with the cover printed onto a leather bound handcrafted book. Um, which I'd love to team up with him to do that, just not for this Kickstarter because it'd just be too much trying to figure out
Yeah.
how we could make that work. I'm trying to think what my other rewards were. I think there's an additional short story, um, artwork, new fantasy, a new map that's unlocked, and yeah, the sprayed edges, and then this hidden one.
I
So
see. Simon was saying that I bought a copy of Frost of Fear and Fortitude. So there you go.
superb. Well, I hope you enjoy it.
North Pagan. I like it. I like it. But
Um,
yeah, that's so exciting. And I mean, you've been such an inspiration for me, but like other authors as well, because I know everybody that when we talk, because we all talk about different things, your name pops up a lot on how great you've been doing and how nice you are as a person. And so
well,
must throw these compliments your way.
thank you.
You're
Well,
deserving of them. You must.
it's just well, it's about helping each other. One of my mentors, Serene Connolly, when I started out on Instagram, I started just taking a picture every day and posting literally when I was writing the manuscript for my first book. So if you go onto my Instagram and go right back to the beginning, you can go from when I think I was at about 8,000 words to where I am now, and it's all chronicalized. And Serene, as a successful author in Australia, it just happened to come up on her feed, and she started commenting. Then she started reaching out and giving me advice, and I'd consider her a really good friend, and for the last 5 years, and she's kind of backed me since day one. But she introduced me to 20 books, things like that. Told me, offered advice around platforms, how to format things like that. So I'm very much a firm believer of giving that back to the community, and I get inundated with messages for advice, support.
Mine,
And
probably.
no, so obviously, if I know you and we've already built a relationship up, you're going to get a reply off me almost straight away. It's just I've hundreds that I probably haven't replied to because I just haven't had the time. But I do try and respond to as much as I can. But I also get a lot of messages just diving straight in saying, "Hi, can you tell me how to do this, this, and this?" So I was like, at least warm me up with a hello and how are you? How's your day going?
Yep, yep.
So I probably should
Universe.
write it all down in a book somewhere.
See, there you go. I mean, that's one, a thing. I love the fact when authors feel that they've developed some kind of knowledge basis and find ways to be able to share it. Be it that's what you talk about my other author friend on here, Jason Duro, that's one of his big platforms on here on Book Talk, is the fact that he talks about his experiences, and if people ask him what he recommends for products or whatever that help, an author out, he will, if he doesn't know, he'll try to do the research and help people out, because
Yeah.
he's also that concept of we should share and give back to the community and everything. I'm always nervous giving advice because I'm like, it may work for me. I just don't know if it's good,
Yeah.
because things are different, and I'm always more on the hesitant side, not because I don't want to share. It's because I feel like I'm always learning. I always feel like I'm the student, not the teacher.
Yeah.
Um, but that's
So
why I pick people's brains a lot.
yeah, no, and that's it. I'll always advise. Well, this is what I've done.
Hmm.
This is my opinion on, what software I've used, how I've formatted books, what works, what doesn't work for me. So all you can do is take that information and either try it for yourself or try something else. Simon is just saying that he's just ordering his Sora's claws now. So
Thank you.
and
Hope you enjoy. I mean, I hope you do.
and he's
If there's
asking,
more.
are your books available as audio books? And Crystal is just saying that their brother-in-law heard them listening to Philosophy and Fortitude and thought they were listening to Game of Thrones.
Well, okay, your narrator's voice is epic, I have to say.
Yeah, Aaron's a legend. It's absolute brilliant. I cannot wait to work with him on the next book. And this is the first time he'll get the manuscript in March. But we're going to schedule a Zoom call beforehand just to talk through things, and it feels very like business like. Normally,
Yeah. Oh
I'll send things out and invite him into, and he'll just get on with it, and then. So I've just said this time, can we have a Zoom call just to kind of go through it and
yeah. Hmm.
go through the character points, because I know, because the main character is Orjan, and Orjan's a character that has got an accent. It's
Oh.
I think the decision we need to come up with is his kind of inner monologue voice going to have an accent, and then when he's talking, he'll have an accent, or do we do it where the kind of inner monologue is in Aaron's usual narration, and then but when he's speaking as Orjan, that he speaks with the accent. So that'll be interesting to see how he does that. And it's Morgana's returning as well, who she's one of the villains from the first book, but she's one of the POV characters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no,
So
I mean, and you've been smart. You've been smart from the get-go, because you've been keeping pace with your audiobooks with your releases. So whatever
yeah,
you're releasing, you're pretty much caught up, or you are caught up, actually, I would think, with this series in particular. I'm the one who was like, I wrote a bunch of books, and then last year I was like, I need to do something audio-wise. So I'm still like, it's gonna take me a little while to catch up, but as for me, yeah, I have my third of my Viking series just released on audiobook today, and it's
oh
narrated by George Blagden, British actor, played Athelstan from the TV series Vikings. Fantastic narrator, love him and his work. But my other two series are also being converted into audiobook format. The next one that will be available will be the 12 Tasks, probably in the next couple months. Need to listen to the last few files and start selecting, those samples, those
yeah,
wonderful little samples that we use for marketing purposes on the author side of things. So
yeah,
that's where I am with that one. But that will be out before you know it. And my narrator there, Blanca, she's actually here. She's a book talk narrator as well as your Aaron is. And so if anybody needs narrators, female, male, check them out.
yeah.
There you go.
Berserkers losing the head in the comments. Is they've just put, you got Athelstan to voice your books.
It's funny because on here, I do pay attention, keep my ear to like the Viking talk vibe, because I do write a lot of Nordic stuff, especially my series that's just Norse mythology. And there's a personality on here. His name is the Modern Floki, and his shtick is,
he,
if you've
he
seen
randomly
it,
pops up
he
on
acts as
mine.
Floki, and his arch nemesis is, in his mind, Athelstan, this character. And the fact that I actually know the actor of Athelstan, it's kind of funny because I always want George to come on. I was like, George, I want you to do one and just tag the Modern Floki and see if this guy's gonna lose his mind, because this, I think it's funny. It's a behind the
Yeah,
scenes thing, but
I
if you
just love
like
the fact that, yeah, first name turns like got him on speed dial now. But yeah, I watched your interview with it. Well, it wasn't so much an interview; it was just a bit like we're doing now, that kind of chat. I watched your video on YouTube, which was brilliant. Well, I listened to it because what I'll do, I'll put the YouTube on and then just connect it to my car so I can listen to it like an audio file.
Smart.
So yeah, I had a good listen to that, and I really enjoyed that. I've just got Cal Clement asking, AP, did you feel the 20 Books conference was worth the time and investment? Absolutely. Obviously, investment-wise, I was lucky enough to get a scholarship ticket, so my conference fee was paid for. However, I did need to book flights and hotel, and I took Mrs. B with me, and we bought her a conference ticket as well. But again, I was lucky enough to be in a position where my books paid for all of that. But for me, it wasn't necessarily that I learned loads. I found it was more a lot of validation for what I'd been doing was the right way to do things, which has just given me a lot of confidence. And it was just amazing to meet loads and loads of authors. Have you been to 20 Books before, Katharine?
No, but I was following your experiences last year on it, and it was something I did want to do this year. And so I've actually already bought my tickets for this year. I need to do the plane tickets, but I got the room, got the actual tickets to the conference, so I will be there. But if any authors are going, let me know, because I would love to meet some other book talk people there as well. But yeah, I will be there, so it'll be my first time, and I'll be just kind of, hopefully, like you, will get some validation, but you never know. I like I said, I feel like I'm always on the learning side of things at the moment, so I don't mind being like, teach me your ways, wise people.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's so much you can learn because you kind of pick what lectures you're going to go to. So there is tons, to the point where there's not enough time in the day to get to everything that you want. But I know from a TikTok point of view, our TikTok for Authors presentation, James told me there'd be about 150 people there. So I thought that won't be too nerve-wracking. And when I stood up and looked at the room, there was a lot more than 150 people in there, probably more like 500 people. And then we had our TikTok for Authors meetup as well that we'd arranged in the evening. And I think that was one of the better attended meetup groups as well. I certainly didn't see Mrs. B for a good couple of hours because I was swamped with people coming to speak to me and ask questions. But again, that's why we'd set it up, so we could do that. So Carl Clement's just saying that they're hesitant to go. Yeah, it is expensive. I suppose whether it's more expensive for us in the UK because flights from here to Las Vegas aren't cheap. But I suppose whereabouts it's from. If you are worrying about finances, though, they do scholarships and they give away tons of scholarships. So they do partial scholarships where it's they'll pay a conference ticket and like your hotel. They'll do full ride where it's conference ticket, hotel and flights that they'll pay for. And they do just conference tickets that they give away, and they give away a lot of them. I think it was about 30 grand's worth of tickets and hotels and stuff, flights that they gave out last year for last year's conference. So certainly, if you go onto the 20 Books group and just have a look, it's always worth applying. I'm still undecided in the sense of I don't. It's too far ahead for me to plan at the moment.
That's fair. It's been a big year for you, and it's still going to be a big year going forward.
It'll kind of depend how everything's going, but I'll kind of know more by the summertime. But I am booked in to go to the conferences in Seville and Amsterdam. So yeah, they're booked, hotels, flights, everything. So and I booked to go to the conferences, not really realizing the back to back.
Wow.
So yeah, so I've got to get from Seville in Spain on the Friday night when that conference ends and be in Amsterdam by Saturday morning because that's when the Amsterdam one starts. So yeah,
you're gonna come back from all that exhausted, and your brain's gonna be just like numb from all the stuff.
Yeah, So the subjects that though are really what I want to focus on this year as well. So it's not just there is subjects there that I want to learn about, like uh, book translations, things like that, and getting the movie deals. These are things I want to work on.
Yes, because I know on the indie side, it's harder to get TV and movie deals because a lot of them say you need a literary agent. And so if you're, unrepresented, it's a little harder for you to get in front of the Netflix and everything because a lot of them do require at least an agent in order to have some chance. So I would be curious to see what you learned that way and see if there are some loopholes and other ways to approach that, because I can only speak for myself, but I would love some of that too. Having a TV show or a movie series based off books. I think a lot of authors would enjoy that. So hopefully you learn some really cool things that way. And also translations, yes, because that's something I started having people ask about recently is translations. And I have no idea how to begin there because if I don't speak and read the language, I don't know if it's said right.
So I get asked all the time. German, French, Italian are the main ones I get asked about. But it is something that all I could do there is, sell the rights to a foreign publisher for them to translate and distribute and just agree on a fee. Carol's just asking, did Craig invite you as a speaker? So yeah, I did speak on stage with James for a few minutes. He was presenting the TikTok for Authors session, and obviously I did the SPF podcast last year with James, and after we did the podcast he asked me if I wanted to get up on stage with him in Vegas, which absolutely terrified. I was having the year of saying yes more, so I kind of said yes and then panicked about it for a good few months.
I bet you were fantastic.
Eking like mad on that stage. Yeah, it's one of the most nerve-wracking things I've done, but I've done it. So I know James is going to speak to Craig because we both feel that there wasn't enough sessions on TikTok. So James did a very generic, this is what TikTok can do for you. And I just think that there could have been more niche sessions around TikTok that would have been really well attended. Because actually I keep joking that he's going to have to change the name from 20 books to 50k because people are hitting it well before they've got 20 books because of platforms like TikTok. Do you have a newsletter? I do, Cal. If you go into my bio and download Lock of Grace and Greed, you'll get the free short story and you'll sign up for the newsletter at the same time.
And yeah, that's always a smart way to approach newsletters is to offer something to the new subscriber. And so like for mine, I have 2 exclusive short stories, and then I offer samples of the first couple, either chapter or 2 chapters of each of my first of series as well, just for people to get a taste, because I do write a wide range that all falls under epic fantasy, and someone might like one series, but the other series may not be what they want, so it's nice to give them samples as well. But
yeah. And Cal is just asking where your newsletter is as well.
I have my links page on this platform, so if you check out that link, there's definitely a part that talks about the newsletter. You can find it on my website as well, but I try to again make it accessible, so I do have the links page on my TikTok that you can just click and find whatever you want to find, hopefully. And if I'm missing something, again, let me know.
Yeah, you're welcome, Cal.
Yes, exactly. So I was one of those interesting things when I started this platform was to find, hello, Arkansas, found that the thing of links page, I don't know why I was so oblivious to it for the longest time. And then I blinked and I feel like all authors use it. And I was just like, I need to catch up on that. That's such a brilliant idea. One click for all content.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was it took me a while to set up, but because originally I was just sending them straight to Amazon. And it was only, I can't remember someone's profile I'd seen and they had a link tree set up and I was like, I don't think it might have been Genius Link, So I thought, I had a look at the different platforms and thought, no, that Linktree was the best one. They do a free one. I paid for the full thing now, but I paid for the full thing and then realised that I'm using it for exactly the same stuff as I did when I used it for free. So you just get better metrics. So, and I think I can link people that subscribe on Linktree.
Mhm.
I can then take their details and just put them onto my newsletter. So that is a kind of extra feature.
That's neat. Yeah, I kind of built my own off my website. So I just literally just created a links page on my website where I can then send people to different specific pages on the website or other places like the Amazon, Etsy if you want signed copies, Kickstarter,
Yeah.
whatnot. So, but yeah, there are different ways to approach it. And that's brilliant. It's one of those, it makes so much sense. Why didn't I do this before?
Yeah, definitely. Cal's just asking, they're just saying they really they love the series, and have I put any thought into making it into a comic, which I have. I'd love to turn them into graphic novels, but again, it's something I'll start exploring when I'm full time, because I'll have more time to look into that and look at the costings and how to make it work. But it is something I'm very interested in.
Yeah, that was actually a funny thing. My fiance and I had that conversation a couple days ago. Excuse me, my voice getting scratchy. But about graphic novels, and another way to be able to reach a different group of readers is to convert them to graphic novels.
Yeah.
And there's another Kickstarter for you, just to fund that, because I know at least on the illustrator sense, it probably is, I can only assume, not the cheapest side of things, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, then that's it. I wouldn't have a clue how much it would cost to hire someone to draw an entire graphic novel, and how long that process takes. So, I mean, I suppose it's probably a lot easier now. You can do things digitally. That's probably sped up a lot of people's process. So yeah, it'd be really really interesting to see, something that I would really love to look into.
Based off Oh, I was just gonna say, based off the design of your covers with like predominantly, black and white with your pop of whatever the hue is that's thematic, that would be a really neat visual, I would
Yeah,
think, for a graphic novel, is kind of have it almost like monochromatic black and white with just that pop of whatever the iconic color is for the series, be it the
yeah,
red on your St. George rendition or the green on your Robin Hood. That would be
yeah.
pretty stunning, I think.
Yeah, and if I carry on releasing, if I keep releasing books at this rate, I'm going to run out of colours for covers.
That's cool.
I've got
Yep.
blue, green, red, two reds, and a yellow, and a purple.
Yeah, here's a good question for you. How long do you want your series to go? Because I know your wife gave you that fantastic map of all the lore from the UK. How long do you want it to be? Do you have a set number, or are you just going to go until inspiration kind of papers away?
Yeah, but my issue is at the minute is I need to focus. I've got so many ideas for stories. I need to just keep focusing on one at a time. So my idea always was to do the main series and then go off and look at other folklore from other countries, and kind of start a new series. But they'd all still be set in the same world, so you'd still have character overlap from this current series. But I've also done it in a way of, for example, Lek is one of the side characters in A Forest of Vanity and Valor, and something happens with him in the story, and I get a lot of questions of, we need more information here. So I'm going to be releasing a short story that reveals that, but that book title's called A Forest of Bastards and Betrayal. So obviously that isn't very Amazon friendly, but that's just going to be available through me directly. It's not going to be on general sale. But again, it's titled in a way that you know which characters it's going to be centered around. I've just started working on the next Frost story, so again, that's going to be a Frost of something and something, and again, so you know straight away where to categorize that story. So who knows? Once I've done the big team up book later this year, I might go back and revisit different character arcs and add more to them But I've got more characters I want to introduce to the world as well. So I think I'd announced on one of my previous ones I've got Cuchulainn that I'm working on a story for Cuchulainn, who is basically like the original Hulk in folklore. I've got a really good idea that I can't shift it, which tells me I really need to start prioritizing that, which is going to be a not necessarily a folklore because it's a
Celtic
historical event.
mythology, right?
Yeah, so this is all
Yeah.
folklore, British folklore. So this will centre around the gunpowder plot, so like Bonfire Night. I've got a really good idea. Obviously, an assassination attempt on the king, but it's going to be a bit of a heist story. But I've got some really good ideas for that as well. So busy year.
Yes, and I have a couple comments. One might actually apply a little bit to you because one said an immersive pirate series would be awesome, but it's your second book that has a pirate on the cover, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you are interested in pirate stuff, you have Blackbeard in that version, at least a twist off of interesting retelling of that. And then another comment popped up saying, I would be an author, but I'm afraid of criticism. And that's always a hard pill to swallow, you know, getting your first critique. I mean, obviously we like the positive critiques, but there are always a negative one or more that pop
Yeah.
in. And it takes a little bit to get used to because it stings. It does sting the first time. They're your babies. Your books are your babies. You spend a
Yeah.
lot of time on them.
Yeah, it is, and you know, I've written this series in a way that would cause a bit of division, in the sense that it's written in first person present tense, which you know, don't do it, don't do it. There's not many people do it. That's why I want to do it. But I wanted to make fast paced reads where you kind of feel like you're in on the action, but also A Frost of Fear and Fortitude wasn't written that way. So I'm also showing that actually you can have different styles for different stories, but still have them set in the same world. And I've been up until now been told you can't do that, but I'm kind of proving that you can if you plan it out rightly. So I want to do a Halloween theme one, and that story is going to be written like a traditional horror story. So, and then I keep getting asked to do spicy books. I don't know how to approach them, but if I was to do one, that could be like a Valentine's themed story, or something that I could then market every Valentine's Day, and that's how I'm looking at it, is so that I've got different times of the year that I can market certain stories, but also experiment with different styles of writing, because that's only going to make me a better writer over time.
Yeah, no, and I've heard a similar kind of critique, but not exactly. And the reason being is because I use my same pen name, author name, whatever you want to call it, for all three of my series at the moment. It's because they're all epic fantasy to me, so I use my name.
Yeah.
But because they are so wide varying in the fact that young adult, new adult, adult, the more adventure forward, positive in the end vibe versus something that's a little grimdark, a little grittier, and people usually the comment is you can't really do that because readers won't know what to expect. And I understand it from the reader perspective. On the other hand, as an author, some of us want to write what we want to write. And so I do try to make it as clear as possible, saying, yes, okay, so this is my young adult portal fantasy versus my adult Viking fantasy. I do try to be very clear about it. But with that said, that is a critique that crops up, is the fact that if you have variety in there,
Well, yeah, it took me 5 years to get to where I am. I don't want to. I'm not going. I can't even begin to think about starting again under a new pen name.
Yes, but you have so much you can do with your universe you're creating, your world building that you've been doing, and the fact that yes, a lot of it is folklore. But I can see that stretch in different ways, and the way you tell or retell, in your case, retell folklore can be done in a variety of ways as well. So that is pretty cool. Well, thank you. I hope if you do try the Guardian Speaker series, you enjoy it. It is definitely based on, it's a dark retelling of Norse mythology, starts a little obscure and then goes in some of the more iconic places, but I like obscure myth, at least to start off with. write what, okay, another comment said, just write what you want to write. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Another,
Absolutely. So I'm just looking at the time because it's already
yep,
been over an hour already.
that's fine.
Crazy.
Yep, and I know it's far later for you because
That's
you are 5 hours ahead of me. So
yeah.
I will let you go. Thank you for chatting about it. And again, for anybody who's chiming in a little late, we're both running Kickstarters for our current or upcoming work. You can find information on either one of our links that are on our respective profiles. And if you're interested in bookish stuff and bonus material in different ways, you might want to check them out.
There we go. What Katharine said. So we're both very close to unlocking stretch goals as well. So that would mean bonus goodies. My next stretch goal is sprayed edges on the hardback collections of the books. Katharine, what's your next stretch goal?
Mine is to commission a bonus character art of one of the bigger players of my book series, the Jet Chronicles.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay. Hi, Sam. I did see your message. I didn't want to cut Katharine off while she was talking. So yeah, we'll probably be on live. Katharine tends to be on live a lot more than I am, but once I am full time, you will see a lot more of me to the point where you probably get sick of my face.
No, never.
Okay. Well, lovely to speak to you, Katharine, and lovely to catch up. And good luck for the rest of the Kickstarter. If you need any advice, always more than welcome to contact me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I will let you go, and then I'll probably just say goodbye to some more of these people before I log off because it's getting late.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm going to go because I'm absolutely shattered. But thanks for everyone that's joined, and I will see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so thank you for everyone who has been chiming in. I blinked and there's 1,002 messages on my feed, so we see if there are any questions I can answer before I log off. I see one that says, I would do a series of zombie apocalypse, but each book would take place in a different country. Same timelines. I like that. I know some people think they're always the cliches of things, be it vampires, zombies, or dragons. I'm a dragon girl. But it's all, I don't know. I think there's a lot you can do with that. I think that would be kind of fun. AP is thinking of doing a Norse mythology series eventually. Yeah. Well, I mean, why not? Because Norse mythology is fantastic. It is my favorite, but then I'm biased at the moment, favorite mythos at the moment, but I do write about a whole variety of them throughout my various series. Let's see. We'll read what we want to read. That's true. As a reader, that's true. I mean, that's the lovely thing is you don't have to read every book because not every book is a book you're going to enjoy, and that's true. Everybody has their taste, and the same thing with writers. We write what we want to write, or hopefully you do. Let's see. Spend way too much money on Kickstarters. Well, it's so funny because I had never thought about Kickstarters as a platform to get books. Never thought of that until I met AP. So it's so nice that he's been helping me along, and I'm so glad that I was able to chat with him today. He is a fantastic dude. You are correct. He's awesome to talk to and always reaches out to his readers. Yes, he is a fantastic person. He's one of my faves, and I'm proud that I can call him a book talk friend. I've not met him in the face-to-face yet. I think the whole fact that he's on the other side of the pond, as they say, hinders that. But I've definitely met some fantastic authors on this platform, and we do chat a lot. Maybe too much. Norse pagan, Wiccan, Satanist, they're all different ways to believe. Let's see. Is your Kickstarter website? Yes, it's found on my website. It's also found on my, as we were mentioning just a moment ago, on our links pages, respectively. And so if you go to my profile, you'll find the link. If you click that, you'll find the information there. Check it out. And the same thing with his. His is fantastic. He has about 7 days to go. I can hear my voice starting to crack because I've been talking a lot lately. So I know I won't be on here much longer, or else you're going to hear a very scratchy voice, and I'm sure people's ears love that. Norse pagan, yep, see, there you go. And so, I approach the Nordic mythos, as a more of a mythological respect of we're going to deal with their dragons, their they have appropriate terms, elves, dragons, and everything, and they have their actual Nordic terms, which I use because the Nordic inspirations, the Ylsafar to the Vgar, I mean, these were the influences for Tolkien, who may be one of the forefathers of modern fantasy, but his inspiration was Norse mythology. And so that's kind of my approach, is focusing on the origin of a lot of these kind of beings that we read about today based on Norse mythology. If we were in a zombie apocalypse and you were bitten, what would you do after? Cry. Yeah, it also depends on what body part. I wish I would have the fortitude to do what you must and, lose the limb if it is a limb. But I don't know if I could do it. I don't know. I've seen plenty of zombie movies and read plenty of zombie material that I know that's probably the most ideal approach. And here's why my thing is, this is why I'm building out my armory. I have lots of Viking stuff. I have a lot more to hang. They're scattered. I have like an axe and a spear just sitting on the ground. I haven't found the wall yet. But I always say I'm training for the zombie apocalypse. And so that's why I love pursuing things like axe throwing. And I used to be an archer. And I am hopefully, when my life calms down, well, AP, he was mentioning earlier, he's going to go and pursue all these great things. I want to go and reconnect with this medieval swordsmanship instructor and learn a little bit of that. Prepare for the zombie apocalypse. Well, I hope you enjoy my books when you read them. Let's see, Big Friend and Walking Dead. I live in Georgia at the moment. It's filmed. It was at least filmed around here a lot. I don't know if they've moved off. I know the characters moved off, a long time ago in their series storyline, but I think they still film some parts around here. Walking Dead. It was a great intro to grimdark, because between that and Game of Thrones was my introduction of what grimdark material is. I cut it off. I have a sword and shield as well. There you go. Fantastic. Yes, I love. It's one of my things, and I love getting a lot of. I think it's the more I invest in my Viking series, the more I try to collect a lot of replica stuff, and so I have everything from the drinking horns, the runes, the helmets, everything from some of the more religious items. But it's because I write all that in the story. I want it to be very immersive for people who may not know a lot about the people during the Viking era, and immersive in the mythology of it, or the faith of it, depending on what you believe, and get into that as well. There are 3 spin-offs. I mean, yes. Spin-offs. See, they're a way to approach it. I have not watched the original spin-off. I need to finish the original series. But yeah, Walking Dead. One of the many things filmed here in Georgia. Can we get signed books? Well, right now, obviously, one of my things approaching is, because I have a Kickstarter, I am trying to funnel people, if they want signed books, to look into that, because you can also get bonus stuff as well with the signed books. But if that's not really what you're interested in, I also sell directly, one at a time, and all this kind of stuff through my Etsy, because that's just a nice platform for me to be able to gather shipping information, all that. And so that is also on my links page on my profile. So if you click that link, you can find my section talking about signed copies, and everything that is, or should be, everything that is in a print format is on there in both hardcover and paperback. But yes, right now, since I have the Kickstarter up, and if you are interested with the focus on my young adult fantasy, they're there as well, plus bonus material. But if you want other stuff, I have it on Etsy. I'm also in Georgia. Hey, 40 minutes north of Atlanta. You might be neighbors. Got a lot of Ren Fair dress. Okay. Yolm's Viking. There we go. Actually, funny thing, you said Yolm's Viking. I've been catching up on the latest season of Vikings Valhalla, and they started bringing in Yulm's Vikings, and I was like, and the Russ. And so actually one of my characters in the Guardian Speaker is a Russ. So the fact that they're featuring some of that culture as well, I was like, yeah, there you go. So maybe some of my readers will understand this character's kind of lifestyle prior. And it was funny because my narrator, George Blagden, as I mentioned before, he was the actor of Athelstan on the Vikings from the History Channel, the original series. When we got to talk, and so we had this conversation about how should my Russ sound like, because historically you had the people in the Viking region, they kind of tapered off toward the Germanic and more toward the Asian side of things, and so the Rus, or the Kievan Rus, Ukraine, Russia area, started developing their own population and their own identity, and so they have different accents. And so we were trying to approach and figure out how should my character sound, what kind of accent to give him, and it was just a fun historical conversation we had. Who knew? But that's on the audiobook side of things. My whole kit is Norse themes. Oh, nice. I love it. Marvel and Stranger Things. Also filmed in Georgia. Yes, a lot of things are. Georgia's really trying to take over a lot of movie and cinema and TV shows. They really do. Which is kind of cool. I've never been an extra, though. I kind of, some of my regrets are not being extra for some of these things, because usually it's after the fact. When you're watching a movie especially, they'll roll the credits and then you'll have the Georgia Peach roll up there, and I was like, I could have been an extra that. I could have met these people, whoever those people were. Jeepers Creepers, you live near the, where they were filmed. Creepy movie. Super jealous I know him, meet him. Yes, he is such a sweet, George is such a sweet guy. He really is very, very nice. And I know he's promoting, I guess he just released a historical movie, and I don't know if it was World War I or II, but I noticed on, because he kind of Instagrams his hub, and he was kind of promoting that earlier today, so I know he has some work that's just out right now as well. Well, thank you for staying in, and have a fantastic day. Like I said, I'm only going to probably be here a couple more moments, because I try not to lose my voice, and an hour is usually that wonderful marker. Vampire or werewolf? I guess it depends on what kind of vampire or werewolf, because they vary dramatically. Think. Well, I guess I would do a werewolf, only because I'm not really into the whole I want to live forever thing. And some of the original vampires are kind of a little grotesque, but werewolf, since with my background in animal behavior, and if they are theoretically turn into wolves, you could deal with the wolfish mentality. I feel like that would be easier to handle. So I would go with the werewolf. Yeah, I was not a fan of Twilight. That was not my jam. I like more original myth sources. So when people branch terribly so far away, it's a harder pill for me to swallow, and I'm not really into romance side of fantasy, so I'm trying to be better about reading some of that, but I am definitely more of a darker, or just the epic, the adventure, the questing side of fantasy than romance. So I have a little bit of romance peppered throughout my book series, but that is not the focus. Pineapple on pizza. I'm going to go with no, but I'm not going to hate someone who does. Pineapple on pizza. I'm going to go with no on that one, but it's just personal preference. Yeah, I can't, I don't know, sorry, it's not but it's one of those things, like, I think it was the way I was raised. I'm not going to pick it off and put it to the side. If someone gives me a slice and this is what I'm going to eat, because this is what the dinner is, I'll eat it. But not really a fan. No Twilight, yes pineapple pizza. See? Everybody to each their own. And I think that is a great thing for both readers and writers. There's always going to be a book that's going to be pineapple on pizza for someone, so. And maybe that's Twilight. Twilight is a pineapple on pizza. You either like it or you don't. Or maybe it's the opposite. Who knows? Who knows? Well, if anybody has any last minute questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And if not, I'm going to log off for the day. I am trying to pop in, but they're sporadic. Like, I don't set a timer for my updates. But I am trying to be better about jumping on live for about 20, maybe 40 minutes most days while I'm running my Kickstarter, just because on the author side of things, if people want to listen in and hear what's going on and how it's doing, great. And be happy to answer questions about my stuff, or just talk about pineapple pizza. No, talk about fantasy or mythology or anything like that. But that's what I'll be doing over the next few weeks. What would you do if they wanted to turn your books into films or TV shows? At first would probably question and do some research to see if that was a real pitch, because that's actually how it happened when George, because he approached me actually for my Viking series, and was just like, hey, I don't know if you know me, my name's George Blagden, I was on Vikings show as Athelstan, and I was like, no, that's not real, that can't be real. So I did a little research, and I was like, oh no, that really is him. So I would probably more of that approach, where it'd be, I would pause, try to do the background research, and then if it is real, I know I'm going to have that elated moment, but then also the rational thing, because whoever would do that for me, I would want to make sure it would do it well, because there have been cases, I won't name names, but there have been some poignant cases of books turned to movies or books turned to shows that have been, in my mind, pretty much a flop. So I would want whoever to do that, if I did get the offer, I would want to take it seriously and really consider, is this director, is this producer, is this going to be the best fit? Is this the best platform for my work? And do some deep thought. And then also pop some champagne. Or mead, depending on what, or which series. But, yeah, I agree. I wasn't going to name names, but they're coming out with a new, or so I've heard. I've heard rumors that they're going to try to redo that. A different group is going to try to redo Aragon. Which Hogwarts house do I belong in? I claim Slytherin. But that's I've never done like an official sorting. It's just, that's what I vibe with. Or that's what I think. Ravenclaw, well, that makes sense. Ravenclaws are very, very nice. Very smart. Intellectuals. But I like it. Okay, everyone, thank you for staying and chatting with me today. And like I said, I'll be back periodically for my random ones. And I always do authors chats weekly. Those I do announce a few days in advance. And so if you're ever interested in chiming in, and I'll be talking with a co-host author, I do those weekly. And I'll be announcing next week's in a couple days. I just have to know where I am in the week. I'm like, it's only Tuesday. Okay, but I'll let you know. But yeah, come back and we can always talk some more. And have a fantastic day, everyone. Happy week.